The following program is a production of the Fairfax Network, Fairfax County Public Schools.
Hello, and welcome to Meet the Author. Today's guest is a writer with a mission, Julia Heckathorn. Here she is on Escudo Island off of Panama. From Escudo Island to Kangaroo Island, Julia's series, Search for the Hidden Clover, is part travel adventure, part animal discovery. Julia, thanks so much for stopping by today.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks for inviting us to your ranch not too long ago.
Oh yeah, definitely.
People will be able to see that in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Let's get started. Julia, describe your books. What kind of stories are they?
My books are fun and interactive. There's a whole adventure where kids are trying to find a four-leaf clover, and my readers get to join that adventure. And along the way, they get to meet animals and play games and learn facts and find hidden things on the pages.
So they're nonfiction adventures?
They are.
All right, and do they, what kind of adventures do they weave us through?
Well, they weave us through adventures on into different environments of the world, into different regions, and just meeting the animals that live there and seeing the plants and everything that lives in that region.
So you're helping them learn about the different types of the world and all of the living things that are available in those areas.
Yeah, so they really just fall in love with that region of the world. All right.
Well, a few months ago, Julia invited the MTA crew to her ranch to see where she works and to meet a few special friends, a source of inspiration for many of her books. Let's take a look.
Welcome to the Hidden Clover Ranch. Let's go take a look around. One of the characters in my book is named Captain Noche Cuervo. He's an anteater. I have the real-life Captain Noche Cuervo right in this barn. This is Noche right here. Let's wake him up. Oh, hey buddy. You might see him yawn when he sticks his tongue out. It's very good. That's Noche yawning. Good boy. There you go. Climb up. Noche is nocturnal. Nocturnal means that he sleeps during the day and he's awake at night. We'll go in at night for about an hour and we'll play with him, and then we'll give him food. He'll be really excited about his food, and that's all he wants. And he'll eat for about an hour. He eats ants as a snack, but in the wild he'll have to eat 9,000 ants a day. So we have to feed him a meat milkshake so that he can get all of his calories that he needs. And it's about 10 different ingredients that we put in a blender. And we blend it up for him, and then we have to warm it up for 45 seconds in the microwave or else he won't eat it. And that's what he eats. He usually goes to bed, I would say, around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And then you can see right now he is ready to wake up, and he's outside, so he is ready for some ants. He uses his claws for digging. You can see his claws are really long, and he found a spot that he thinks there are ants in. And so what he's going to do is he's going to use his claws to dig in there, and he's going to use his long tongue to try to dig a little bit further and find some ants. And his tongue is really sticky. It has a sticky saliva on it so that ants can attach to it, and then he can eat them. This is a very rare animal in the United States. There are only about a handful of them. You won't normally see them at zoos. This is called a tamandua. He is the middle-sized anteater, so there's a giant anteater, a small anteater that lives in trees, and then there is the medium-sized anteater, which is a tamandua, and that's what Noche is. We are a USDA licensed facility, and it's actually really hard to become a USDA licensed facility, and we work with our breeders long in advance before we get our animals so that we know how to take care of them, what to feed them, what kind of housing they need. And Noche is actually not imported from South America, which his species is from South America. He's actually from a breeder in Florida. Here's a fun fact. Anteaters actually only eat 30% of an ant population so that it'll grow back, and that the next day they can go back and eat 30% more, and they'll never run out of ants.
That is a cool fun fact.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Learned a lot there. And it also seems that nature really has its own way to provide conservation. Speaking of conservation, what's the connection between your books and the pygmy sloth? And for those of folks who are watching that might not be familiar with that animal, could you tell us a little bit about him?
Sure, definitely. Well, the reason I started writing my books is to just get kids to fall in love with nature and to really want to take care of nature. And so I wanted to show my audience and my readers that I care as well and that I do as much as I can. And so I wanted to give part of my proceeds to some sort of conservation organization. But when I found out about the pygmy sloths and that they were critically endangered and that if in 10 years nothing was done to help them survive, they would be gone, I realized that I needed to step in and do that. And so now I give all of my proceeds and everything I do to the sloths. And they live on this island called Escudo Island. And they live nowhere else in the world, and you can see it here. Here we are on this island looking for sloths, and there's a little baby clinging to its mom. And these sloths only get to be about 7 pounds, and they're critically endangered. Their trees are being cut down, and there's trash all over their environment. And so what we do is we go down and we work with the locals to teach them how to take care of their environment, and we teach them about the animals that live on their island and why it's so important to care for them.
So you're really helping build their awareness and educate them so that they can even improve their own environment.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, let's go to an email. This is from Mrs. Bauer's class, and this is what they would like to know.
Okay.
Why did you name your series The Search for Hidden Clover?
Well, in each book, a boy, a girl, and a kangaroo are going in search for a hidden four-leaf clover. And so that's why I called it Search for the Hidden Clover.
So the searching for the hidden clover, each step of the way they find it and it gives them clues to what they're looking for?
Well, they're trying to find it throughout the whole book. So
Okay.
that's their whole adventure, is finding that clover. And so they meet the animals along the way that kind of come to life and help them, and then they play games to kind of learn their way. And so by the end, they find a four-leaf clover.
Your books are very interactive.
Yes.
As the students are learning and enjoying a story, they're really becoming part of the story.
Yes.
I kind of think of it as a field trip in a book as I was reading them, because I was learning a lot along the way as well. You wear a lot of hats. You write your books, you illustrate your books, and you publish your books.
Yes.
From your point of view, what do you think is the most challenging of those three roles?
I would have to say the marketing and distribution. I mean, that's a whole additional full-time job in itself, and so it just takes a lot of time trying to get the books into libraries and schools and bookstores and museums. It just takes a lot of time, and so I think that's probably the hardest thing for me, because it takes time away from what I really enjoy, which is writing the books and kind of putting them together and being creative with it.
And of course, working with all those animals on your ranch and all
Oh,
your
yes,
travels.
and that
You're a
takes a
very
lot of
busy
time.
lady.
Of course.
Well, every author has their own way to write a book. Julia Heckathorn's process begins with a nearby friend, a friend with a definite spring to her step. Or is it a hop? Check this out.
Now I'm going to take you up to my workspace, and I have another little surprise for you up there. So let's go, follow me. Ever since I was a little girl, I really wanted a kangaroo. And there she is, the inspiration for all of my stories. Boomeroo is a red kangaroo, which is actually the biggest type of marsupial in the world. You would normally find kangaroos in Australia, but Boomeroo was born in Texas at a kangaroo farm. You want some more bread? Good girl. She came to us when she was 3 weeks old. She was very little. She helps me come up with my drawings and my stories, and sometimes she even sits with me while I draw. Some writers write their story first, and then they illustrate them. But let me tell you about my process. What I do is I get my ideas from actual adventures that I've taken myself. So when I come home from my travels, I look at all of my pictures that I've taken and all the animals that I met, and I look at all the research that I had written down. And I make my story based on all of that information. So I'll write my story, and then I decide where I want my pictures in the story. And then I draw characters, and I overlay the characters on top of the photographs. When kids read my books, they get to see what it's really like in that region of the world that they're reading about. And they get to meet the characters that are going on the adventure in that book. When I start my illustrations, I first take a pencil and I do some quick sketches, just like you see here. For instance, this is Jason in the story. And Jason is sketched in all different positions. And then when I find the sketch that I like for the drawing that I want, I then take a black magic marker, a Sharpie, and then I draw exactly what I want him to look like. And then what I do is I scan him into the computer and I color him right on the computer, and then I decide what picture I want him to go on to. So here you can see a rainforest, and Jason here is introducing himself. And there he's popping into the picture, and he's all colored saying, "I'm Jason," right over top of the rainforest.
Well, Julia, some writers have a lucky pen. You have a lucky kangaroo.
I do.
How autobiographical are your books? Because you, Boomeroo, and Jason live on and off those pages all the way throughout each of your books.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, my books are about the adventures that we actually take. And sometimes we'll stand by a nest or a tree for hours waiting for an animal to come out to get a good picture, and those are the pictures that I put in my pages.
That is very exciting. It's also a journal for you as well.
Yes.
Well, Julia, students, of course, are very curious about Boomeroo.
Yeah.
So let's listen, and when we return, we have a few questions for our guest, Julia Heckathorn. Let's roll the tape.
Why did you really want a kangaroo? How did you get Boomeroo? How do you take care of Boomeroo?
That's a very good, curious question,
They
so
are.
let's start at the beginning.
Okay.
Why did you want a kangaroo?
Well, my animals are educational animals, and I bring them to schools with me when I do author visits. So I'll read a book, talk about conservation, and bring out an animal to really get kids excited about nature. And I thought that a kangaroo would be a perfect animal to bring to schools because it really gets kids interested.
Oh, absolutely. I can imagine the enthusiasm for those visits.
Yeah.
How do you take care of Boomeroo? What are the Boomeroo? What are the logistics to take care of a kangaroo? That's not a typical pet.
Right. Well, she takes a lot of care, but thankfully we can actually buy her food. She eats kangaroo pellets, and then we put her outside and she runs around and she eats grass and dirt. But she's also very messy. She goes to the bathroom constantly. But we've actually potty trained her to where she goes on pee pads. So when she's in the house or when she's in the barn, she goes there. And so she's, kind of like a dog, but a little bit harder to train. She also, eats the walls and the carpet and everything else. So she takes a lot of time.
Right, and a lot of people have dogs and a lot of people have puppies, and they eat the carpet and the furniture and things too. But not everybody can have a kangaroo, right?
Right. It's very difficult to have exotic animals like we do.
Talk to me about the friendliness of kangaroos and anteaters. Are they friendly to all people, or are they just friendly to you?
That is a great question. Well, the kangaroo was brought up by me, so she thinks I'm her mom. So she absolutely adores me, follows me everywhere. It takes her a little bit of time to get used to other people when they come into her home, but when she goes out to schools and stuff, she just loves everybody. And she loves getting pet and she loves attention. And Noche, the anteater, he just loves everybody. He just wants time with people to play, and so yeah, he's very, very friendly too.
That's good to know. Well, we have more student questions. These questions focus on the writing process. So let's listen to what the students want to know, and then we'll wait for your answers.
How do you think about what you're going to write? Why does everything rhyme in your book? How did you know what the character should be? How did you come up with the four-leaf clover idea? Why is the background so real when the people are so fake?
Those are super questions about how you go through the writing process. We're going to start with the last question first. That student wanted to know, why is the background so real and the people so fake?
Okay, yeah, well, I wanted my readers to really see what it was like to journey through each region of the world that I write about. And so when I go on these journeys and I take these pictures, I want my readers to really get to see what it would be like if they were
And that's a
there in
picture
that
of a
journey.
real lighthouse. Where is that located?
That's on Kangaroo Island.
Okay.
And then what I do is I overlay my drawings on top of the pictures, and then I put my words in there, and I have a page that's entertaining for kids and also educational, and they get to see what that area of the world is like.
Provides a lot of great information. The next to the last question was, how did you get the idea for the four-leaf clover?
Well, ever since I was a child, I've always been really good at finding four-leaf clovers. I just, everywhere I go, I see them, and it's really strange. I remember going and playing soccer on the soccer field, and I would find one before every game, and I would put it in my shoelace. And I just loved looking for four-leaf clovers, and I still do even as an adult, because when you go and look for four-leaf clover, you find so much more. You find the really cool bugs that are there, and you even get to breathe the fresh air and just really enjoy nature.
You raise a good point. When we're looking closely, we may have some surprises, and to really looking closely, you learn a lot about other things that you might not have expected.
Yeah, I always say, search for a clover, discover the world.
I like that. One of the student questions was also, how do you know what the characters should be like?
Well, I kind of, base it on my journey as well, and so I write my story based on my journey and how I felt and my reactions to things, and then I create my characters based on my journey. And so, if they're supposed to be surprised, I make the characters surprised with a big mouth and big eyes, and so kind of I make my characters based on kind of what I think that my readers would enjoy and get excited about.
Sounds like a fun writing process to me.
Yeah.
The first question that the students posed was, why does everything rhyme in your books? Why did you choose to have rhyming words?
Yeah, well, I've always loved rhyming. Ever since I was little, I've always, before I would go out and play, I would write a poem. And I've always really enjoyed writing my stories and poetry, and always enjoyed, as a child, getting read Dr. Seuss and things that rhymed. And so I really wanted to put that in my books, because I know that a lot of my readers really enjoy that as well, the rhyming aspect.
Do you ever use any tools like a rhyming dictionary to help you come up with that just right word?
Every once in a while I do. If I get stumped on a word and can't figure out a rhyme for it, then yes, I do use a rhyming dictionary sometimes.
Why do you think concepts like conservation and habitats are important to children?
I mean, the whole reason that I got into this, conservation and teaching kids about the environment, is because I believe that we're not doing enough as a society to take care of the world that we live in now. And animals are going extinct, there's trash around, we're cutting down trees at an alarming rate. And so I really want the next generation, I want you kids to really enjoy nature and want to take care of it. And so you can see these pictures here of us going to these places. This is Escudo Island, and working with the children and educating them, working with the sloths, and ensuring their survival on the island. And I want kids to kind of look around their own home and see, and their own environment, and see how can they help. And so, little things like building gardens or taking care of animals or just taking care of your own property is a really good start to taking care of our environment.
And we make a lot of emphasis about respecting the environment and all the things that we can do in our home and school and in our community. With the students that you and the children that you worked with in this Escudo Island, what were the kinds of things, what kind of programs did you help them with? Did you go into their classrooms? Did you take them out into the natural habitat? How did that work?
Well, the children actually, a lot of them have been to Escudo Island, and they never really knew about the animals that lived there. And they never learned in school that it was bad to cut down trees or that it was bad to throw their trash on the ground. And they never learned how to take care of the environment. So what we do is I take one of my books that's actually written in Spanish for them about their island, and I teach them about the animals that live there and how they can take care of the environment and why it's so important. And it's just been amazing to see them change over time and fall in love with the animals that live there and say, you know, we want to help and we want to do everything that we can. It's just, so that's what we've been doing with the education.
Now, they, of course, as you mentioned, the book is in Spanish, and the children speak Spanish there, as well as all the citizens. Did you need to bring a Spanish interpreter with you, or are you fluent in Spanish as well?
I am not fluent in Spanish. I've been learning, and I know a lot of words in Spanish, and I know how to get by, but I definitely like to have an interpreter with me.
Julia, we have a few minutes left, but
Okay.
what we're going to do, we have some footage about your sugar gliders that is absolutely fascinating. So let's go to that tape,
Okay.
and then we'll chat about
Great.
that at the end. Okay.
This is where the sugar gliders live. There are 2 in each cage. They're social animals, so they always need a friend. So right now I'm going to bring out Dexter. This is an Australian marsupial. And he is a male, and you can tell because he has a scent gland right here on his head. And he also has a scent gland right here on his chest. And he loves fruit, and he usually will do anything for a little bit of food. You can see their eyes are really big. They're nocturnal, so they need to be able to see at night. Sugar gliders are called gliders because they glide from tree to tree in the wild. They can actually glide about 150 feet in the wild from tree to tree. And what they use is their membrane. Their membrane comes out and they glide onto the other tree. Their fingernails are really sharp, so that's how they stick onto the tree.
You know, I've watched that several times now, and it's just as fascinating as the first time I saw it. I was not familiar with the sugar glider. Help us understand about sugar. How did you end up with a sugar glider at your ranch? Tell us a little bit more.
Well, sugar gliders were originally from Australia, and there is actually a huge population here in the United States now in people's homes. A lot of people have them as pets, actually, and so we got our first one about 4 or 5 years ago from South Carolina, and then we got one from New Jersey, and those are our breeding pair. So every 6 months they have babies, and then we have 2 of their babies that we keep in a cage underneath of them. And they're just a delight. They're so soft and so cute, and I love just watching them jump, and we're actually teaching them to jump from hand to hand on command, so they're doing pretty well at that.
I'd say they are. That's fascinating. I'd like to return back to the writing process for a moment. Do you have an editor?
No, sometimes I use friends to kind of like look at my books, and a lot of times I even use children.
Give you those different perspectives?
Yeah, to just kind of get some feedback.
So what are the challenges of editing your own books? Certainly finding other people to read them, which I'm sure is not a chore at all because they're fun to read. But what is the process from beginning to end? How long does it take you to write it? Just the challenges along the way of being that self-publisher, self-editor.
It takes a long time. I usually have about 25 edits that I do myself. And then when I think and I'm very much a perfectionist, so I try to make it as perfect to myself, that I can, and then I go out and I ask the neighbor kids or my friends to kind of look over it and make sure that there's nothing that I'm missing or forgetting or words that are misspelled or out of place.
I enjoyed visiting your website, and it has a lot of the information about the trips that you've taken and the mission that you all are doing to help the animals, as well as information about your books and those adventures. Are you working on another book?
I am. I'm working on my ebook right now.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be working on another hardback.
Okay.
So.
And will that adventure be in another point in the world that you have visited or that you plan to visit?
I actually have a lot of places that I've visited, and so I have a lot of material, and so I have a lot of books that I need to start writing. So I do have a lot of exciting new places that I'm looking forward to writing about.
That's wonderful. Is there anything you can share? Give us a scoop.
Well, my next ebook is going to be about Tasmania, so I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that will be exciting. I'll look forward to seeing that.
And then I'm looking forward to writing a book about Africa. So that's my very exciting one. That's going to be my next hardcover about Africa.
Do you have apps on your website online?
I'm also working on my first game. So it's going to be a game that you can get on your phone or your iPad or your computer, and it's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. There's going to be about 100 levels of just, searching for things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm excited about that.
That is a lot of fun, and you brought along with you the activity book that's going to be available soon, which you brought with us the stickers and.
Yeah, this just came out, so I'm pretty excited about it.
A lot of hands-on learning as kids are having fun and they're learning along the way with that one
definitely.
as well.
And lots of things to draw and lots of stickers, so lots of fun.
That's going to be fun. Well, we have another clip that we're going to go to, and this is we asked students about pets. If they could pick their favorite pet, what would they like to have?
Okay.
Let's find out what they want to know.
Great.
A dog, panda, a pig because pigs make me laugh. Opossum, penguin, a fox, peregrine falcon, a wolf, a chinchilla, elephant, penguin, a bobcat, a falcon because I can catch fish with it, cheetah, fox, a baby polar bear, a dog, baby fox, a peacock, tiger, panda, a dog, a push me pull you because they're extremely rare and they have 2 heads.
We have a zoo if we put all of those animals together. I love that. Well, Julia, I'm going to give you the last word for the day. What advice can you give to our young writers and illustrators that are watching and listening?
I would just say keep reading and getting out in nature and looking for 4-leaf clovers and breathing the fresh air and looking for animals and just enjoying nature and trying to figure out what you can do to take care of nature.
Well, thank you so much, because you're surely doing your part of helping with the environment and taking care of nature. I've so enjoyed talking to you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And good luck with all of your efforts.
Thank you so much.
We end today's program with another peek of the Hidden Clover Ranch. But before we go, remember, keep reading, keep writing, and keep dreaming. Now, another look at Hidden Clover.
Thank you so much for joining me here at the Hidden Clover Animal Ranch. I hope that you had fun, and I hope that you appreciate nature as much as I do. And remember, when you go outside, keep your eyes peeled, because you never know what you're gonna see. Oh my gosh, there's a 4-leaf clover right here. Look! Good luck!